Hey guys, Chase Kaufman here with another video, this time recapping what went on at states in all 4 divisions in both the team portion and the individual portion. So hit that subscribe button and get ready because we've got a lot of information to share. Starting with the boys team's Division 4 finals, Bronson qualified first thanks to a 10-0-4 in their final team game of qualifying. They took down Burton Bendel in the first round but fell to the 4-seed New Lothrop in the semifinals. Last year's state runner-up, Grass Lake, qualified second and won their first 2 matches to set up a final match with New Lothrop. They got off to a nice lead after Bakers and increased that lead after the team game to win 12-53 to 11-23 and earn their 3rd state title in 4 years. For the girls, Taylor Trillium Academy got off to a hot start, taking the 1 seed by over 100 pins. They defeated Traverse City Christian in the first round and then barely slid past Allen Park Cabrini in the semis by just 2 pins. In the finals, Taylor Trillium faced off against Beaverton, who had just defeated the number 1 ranked Jonesville. After a 13-pin deficit through Bakers, Trillium picked it up with Olivia Schmurr shooting a 179 and Emily Yagley shooting a 172 as they delivered a 780 to Beaverton's 744 for their first state title. In Division 3, the Armada boys, who jumped 5 spots in the latest ranking, showed why as they qualified first by over 200 pins. In bracket play, though, they dropped their first round match to Chesaning, who then lost to the 5-seed Ogemaw Heights. Ogemaw faced the 3-seed Lansing Catholic, who had just taken down last year's state champs Gladwin. Lansing Catholic started with a 39-pin lead after Bakers, and the team game made it even closer. Danny Gassman and Derek Malone shot a 198 and a 197, but the anchor Jeff Wheeler led the way with a 199 for Lansing Catholic as they were able to keep it close enough to beat Ogemaw Heights 1239 to 1216. At Jack 60, the Napoleon girls took the 1 seed in the D3 finals and they won their first match against Armada, but lost in round 2 to Flint Powers. In the other half of the bracket, the 2-seed Ishpeming Westwood defeated Boyne City in the first round and Shepherd in the semis. The closest match of the entire bracket came in the finals as just 13 pins separated the 2 teams after Bakers in favor of Westwood. But when the team game came along, Elizabeth Tuber made her mark, shooting a 221 to lead her team to a 775 to take the title by just 17 pins. In Division 2, the Tecumseh boys, last year's state runner-ups and the 6th-ranked team this season, qualified first after a hot 3-game 691 Baker start. They dominated in round 1, defeating Niles, but had to face 2nd-ranked Flint Kersley in the semis, where a consistent Kersley got it done to move on to the finals. The 3rd-ranked team in Division 2, New Boston Huron, also won their first 2 matches to set up a great final. Kersley jumped out to an 86-pin lead after Bakers and held onto it after a great team game in which Howie Hammond shot a 234 and everyone else chipped in as well to win 1455 to 1338 for their first state title in 8 years. The Flint Kersley girls looked to do the same as the boys, and they started well, qualifying first by over 200 pins. However, they faced Charlotte, who kept pace with the Hornets and ultimately squeaked by just 6 pins. The 4-seed Sparta ended up taking one of the spots in the finals after defeating Charlotte in the semis. Southline East, the 6-seed, upset Bay City John Glenn in the first round and then defeated the 7-seeded Carleton Airport in the semis. Sparta had the advantage after 2 Bakers accumulating a 46-pin lead, and they needed every bit of it, and they also needed every bit of Kylie Dine's 214 game as Sparta clinched the title 11-23 to 11-17. In Division 1, the Davison boys held their ground until the last team game, where they exploded into the 1 seed after an impressive 11-33 game. They took on Livonia Churchill in the first round, but were upset in a tight match 11-77 to 11-62. Wayne Memorial ended up moving past Livonia Churchill into the finals after a solid 13-85 to 13-15 win. Brownstown Woodhaven knocked off Utica Eisenhower and then Jenison to move on to face Wayne in the finals, where the Zebras took it all. After a 394 Baker set, they got off to a slow start, but after a comeback and a 212 game from Jeremiah Hodge and a 202 from Kyle Webster, Memorial took home the title. For the girls, Zeeland grabbed the 1 seed after a consistent 8-game Baker set and 2 solid team games, but in the first round they had a rough set, falling to Westland John Glenn by just 1 pin. Holt moved on past John Glenn for a spot in the finals, while the 7-seed Traverse City West snuck past the 2-seed Sterling Heights Stevenson and then powered through the 3-seed Granville. But in the finals, Holt stood strong as Lola Knox led the team to a 9-19 game with a 214 game of her own. Holt won 11-97 to 10-98 and earned their 2nd state title and first since 2010. Onto the individual portion, starting with Division 4 for the boys at M66 Bowl. David Kowalski from Ellen Park Cabrini earned the 1 seed but was upset in the first round. His teammate Bryce Cadera advanced to the finals though after shooting a 434, 450, and a 468 on his way there. His opponent in the finals was Alex McCarthy from Saginaw Nouvelle, who had just knocked off the 7, 2, and 3 seeds. Cadera dug himself into a 23-pin hole after game 1, but shot a 227 in the second game, but it wasn't enough as McCarthy shot a 244 in his second game to take the title. On the girls' side, it was no surprise that Morgan Bruner of Gobles claimed the 1 seed after finishing with a 267 in game 6. She cruised in her first few matches, never giving up the lead after any first game. In the finals, she faced Brooke Smith of Traverse City Christian, but once again Bruner got off to a big lead. She ended up winning 415 to 303 and won the 3rd straight singles title to cap off her career. In Division 3, Dustin Mokel of Napoleon claimed the 1 seed after a solid day with a low game of 194, but he was upset in the first round by Mason Keene from Stockbridge. Keene continued his run, shooting a 400-plus series in his next couple matches to secure a spot in the finals. In the bottom half, the 2 seed Harvey Zelt from Gladwin ran through his matches to clinch a spot in the finals as well. But the Cinderella story continued as Keene, who snuck in the cut by 3 pins, won 407 to 353 to clinch the title. Also at Jack 60, Ashley Hunter was the only girl in Division 3 to average above 200, and she earned the top seed for her efforts, but she fell in the first round as well. That opened the door for the 9 seed Sydney Nichols of Onstead to make a run into the finals. Her opponent Savannah Hamilton had just knocked off 3 of the top bowlers in the state with 1 more to go, but it was Nichols who came out on top in the finals, winning 375 to 370. At Century Bowl in Waterford, Donald Jacobs of New Boston Huron shot an impressive 1501, snagged the top seed, and won his first 2 matches with ease to move on to the semis. But there, another powerhouse in Owen Williams of Tecumseh beat Jacobs for a spot in the finals. Zeke Hirama from Grand Rapids Christian, the 2 seed, also advanced to the finals after multiple 200 games and kept that momentum, winning a close final match over Williams 388 to 382. Kayla Taffanelli of Warren Woods Tower proved she would be the one to beat over the years, and it was no different in qualifying as she topped the 2 seed by over 80 pins. But in the semis, Brenna Hansen of Fruitport started strong with a 246, and it was too much for Taffanelli to make up. Hansen would face Savannah Portillo, a freshman from Charlotte, who just shot a 246 in her semifinal match as well. Portillo got off to another hot start with a 242 game, on her way to winning the title 413 to 384. On to Division 1 at Thunderbolt Lanes, Dylan Harnden from Utica Eisenhower shot a 1416 to qualify first, but he fell in round 2 to Brendan Riley of Waterford Mott. In the bottom half, the 2, 3, and 6 seeds all fell in the first round, opening the door for the next highest seed, the 7, Charlie Johnson from Matawan, to make a run to the finals. Riley got off to a 23-pin lead. Johnson tried to fight back in game 2, but it wasn't enough. Riley, the lefty, picked up the title after winning 377 to 363. Melanie Straub of Anchor Bay was one of 2 to shoot above 1200, and Straub was the highest at 1272. But she dropped her first round match to Hannah Reed of Flushing. Hannah continued her strong day after making the bracket by just 4 pins by making a run to the final match. Katie Stevens of Clarkston took the other spot in the finals after just making a comeback in the semifinals. Stevens started strong in the first game and couldn't be stopped as she beat Reed 411 to 307 for the win. Congratulations to all of our champions, and thanks for watching this Extra Frame episode of Great Lanes Bowling News. Look out for us in the upcoming weeks as we'll chat with some of our champions, but in the meantime, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Chase Kaufman. Go out and shoot some 10 pins.